The advice and opinions expressed by the host of Autism Live and her guests are meant solely as suggestion and should not be in any way construed as child-specific advice. The Center for Autism and Related Disorders advises working with a board-certified behavior analyst who has experience with autism before starting any intensive behavioral intervention. Any choices you make in determining your child's treatment are completely at your own discretion.
Good morning and welcome to Autism Live. I'm Shannon Penrod, and as you can see, the lovely and fabulous and brilliant Dr. Doreen Granpeesheh is here with us this morning for this very special episode of Autism Live. If you've been watching the show, you know we've been all this month of April, we're featuring different pockets of people who have been making a difference. You saw us talk about card stars, people who are working out in the field now and making a difference every day and have been nominated by families and the people that they work with for doing such a great job. And then we switched over to acknowledging the people who have been in this field for a really long time and have made so much difference. People who Dr. Granpeesheh has been working with for more than 20 years. If you know Dr. Granpeesheh, you know she's been working in this field for more than 40 years. That's crazy. It sounds like you were working in utero, but she wasn't. But she's been working in this field for more than 40 years, and we've been celebrating people that she's worked alongside for more than 20 years. And the list is pretty long, Dr. Granpeesheh. This is a lot of people who chose to work next to you, which I think is some indication of how much they love you and how much they love this field. So we welcome Dr. Granpeesheh to be here. This is April Autism Awareness, Autism Action, Autism Acceptance, and Autism Access Month. We're just taking them all on, all the A's. But it's also the month of Dr. Granpeesheh's birth. So it just, like all these things, and spring flowers. Can it get better? It just can't get better. So why do you love this group of people so much, Dr. Granpeesheh, these 20 plus somethingers?
Thanks, Shannon. So hi, everyone, and thank you so much, Shannon, for allowing us or arranging for us to do these particular shows. Yeah, this is a really important thing to me because as you know, a lot of times I get a lot of kudos for what CARD has become and the number of families it has helped and children it has helped in one way or another. And I really feel very humbled by all of that, but I want to make sure that we let the world know that CARD was built by all these folks, right? Especially these people who have kind of been there for 20 plus years. These are, and as you know, we've started doing some shows already with some of the folks, and they've been talking about the early years of CARD and how we used to gather and develop lessons and programs and change our programs based on every child that we met and so on. And so there's a very special place in my heart for the people we call seniors at CARD. Not that they are senior in age, but they are seniors in experience, and they are incredible people who have built CARD, but more so have just inside and outside of CARD have and continue to contribute to the field with such great passion that I would say in a lot of times in the past 30 years for me, it was their passion that actually kept me going even. And, you know, you say that it was partly me that kept them there. I have to say, I always feel that I must have done something good in my life to be rewarded by having such incredible people in my life, right? And I think a lot of these folks that we're meeting, Shannon, and introducing to our audience are just incredible human beings. Not only are they talented clinically, but they are also just really, really passionate, dedicated people who care deeply about helping others. And our first guest today, if I may just go ahead and talk a little bit about how much I love her, Sarah Niehoff is one of those spectacular human beings. And Sarah is unbelievable in the sense that she, to this day, I would, you know, Shannon, it's interesting. If you, if you ask any of the other folks that we've been interviewing, who is our best trainer, they probably all would say Sarah. Sarah is amazing. She has been practicing the art of ABA truly for 20 years. And she is one of the best teachers I have ever seen, probably the best teacher I have ever met. She not only has a deep, deep understanding of how to take the principles of ABA and actually apply it to every kid, every family, etc. She just has an incredible talent in the way that she teaches. And she's, you know, throughout the years, whether it's here as a therapist or as a trainer or it's across the world, and I want to let Sarah talk to us about some of her experiences in other countries, she has helped train hundreds of people, and through them has, of course, helped hundreds of children. So it's really, and that aside, she's just a wonderful human being, and I'm really excited.
The legend. This woman is a legend. So let's get her in here. Sarah Niehoff. There she is in her beautiful purple.
I'm going to be blushing after that intro.
You guys are very color coordinated. I did not get the memo.
I
have a little lilac going on. But Sarah, welcome. We're so thrilled to have you here. And you know, I want Dr. Grampuchet to talk a little bit more about you, and we want to hear your origin story. But then I have something particular that I need to get off my chest and say that's a compliment. But well, should we start with her origin story, Dr. Grampuchet?
Let's start with how you came to CARD, and then bring us all the way forward.
Yeah.
So if we rewind 22 years, I think my origin story might be slightly unique because I think it involved a little bit of alcohol, but I was in college during my undergrad, and I'm from Kentucky, and Kentucky Derby is a really big thing here. So we went to the Kentucky Derby, and as college kids enjoyed ourselves for the day. And I had gone back to my friend's house, and we were kind of recouping, and her next door neighbor was a mother of a young child with autism at the time, and she had come over, and when she relates the story, we've become good friends over the years. She said, you know, I had a couple mint juleps, and I figured, what the heck, I'll just ask her. But her daughter liked the pool and wasn't safe, and I was a lifeguard and a swim coach, and they said, oh, why don't you, teach my daughter swim lessons? And I was like, yeah, I could do that. And she's like, we also do this therapy thing at home. And I said, no, thank you. I've got this easy summer job. I play with kids in the water, and I'm a lifeguard. No, thank you. And she was real persistent. Thanks for those mint juleps. And she's like, just promise you'll come check out this ABA thing we do. We can add a supervisor to train you. And I eventually just agreed to get her off my back. And as soon as I met her daughter, it clicked like that. By the end of the summer, I changed my major, and it's been ABA ever since. So I owe that family a large debt of gratitude.
That's amazing. I actually do remember that phase, which is incredible because you were one of the reasons, you were the only reason we were very, very interested in developing something in Kentucky. And there was a pretty big cohort of families at one point that you had helped develop, and they actually were helping other families by recruiting therapists for them and training therapists and so on. But keep telling us more. So you got into ABA, and then tell us about your journey at CARD.
So I started in Kentucky, and back then the model was different, where we worked directly with families, or we this mom ended up starting a nonprofit to recruit a lot of therapists. And I remember looking at my supervisor at the time, Jason, and I was like, oh, this guy's great. He gets to travel around the world and he gets to help families out. I love travel. I like kids. I want his job. And so I asked him, I was like, how do I get your job? He's like, well, after you graduate, you come out to California. And so I started my master's. And then a year later, I drove to California. And I remember it was very vague. And he was like, yeah, you could work. We didn't have that many offices. And he's like, you can work in Woodland Hills or Torrance. And I met someone who's like, Torrance is by the beach. You seem like a beach person. And I'm from Kentucky. I was like, oh, the beach, that's really cool. I don't know anything about that. He's like, yeah, I'm a beach person. And I remember literally in Kansas calling and be like, I'm going to get there this weekend. Am I going to start Monday? How does this work? And I was well taken care of and started my supervisor training. And I've actually, one of the things I really love about CARD is it's allowed me to move around a lot. So I think I'm in 6 or 7 different offices, and I was also able, thanks to Doreen, to work overseas for 6 years as well, which was a really kind of unique and exciting experience to bring ABA into. I lived in Thailand, into a region that didn't have any ABA, and much less many autism services, full stop. So that was pretty cool. Definitely a highlight.
Yeah, and Shannon, you might remember when we were interviewing Marina earlier that I was telling you that we had kind of a period of time where we only had 2 incredible people who kind of saved that location, and that would have been Sarah and Marina, and they were amazing. And ever since then, I always just respected their dedication, because it was not about who you're working for, where you are. It was just about, I'm not going to drop my kids. I have a lot of patients. I have a lot of kids I have to take care of right now. And they just continue to do that. And that's right, Sarah. And then Sarah, of course, started traveling. And in those days, we had what was called workshop supervisor. And Sarah became one of the top workshop supervisors. So she went, I think you traveled to a lot of different places. And then eventually, she ended up going to Thailand and got in touch with me and said, there's nothing out here and there's a big need. And then she trained the entire clinic that exists in Thailand, and they used to be our affiliates because they were kind of following our training model. And I think at one point, Sarah, I believe I saw a picture of all the therapists there, and it was a very legitimate clinic. Let me tell you, they had incredibly well-trained folks, just like kind of when I talk about STAR in South Africa, the same thing. And they were helping kids from all over, and they were amazing. Sarah, tell us a little bit about that.
I remember when I went to Thailand, at first there was just one little boy I was working with. And Doreen's like, I don't know anything about Thailand, but if you can find the people and help them, more power to you. So I was, kind of trying to do the side hustle and find people. And I was connected with this group called Rainbow Room. It was a special needs awareness center. And it was this real serendipitous moment where a mom's like, have you heard of this place? And she said, just get in my car. I'm taking you to the Rainbow Room right now. And I remember texting my husband and being like, I'm getting in a stranger's car. I think it's safe. I guess I'll be home in a couple hours. And he's like, it's Thai people. They're going to feed you. You'll be home tonight. It'll be way late, but have fun. But I was like, what is happening? And there was this community of people who are affected with a variety of special needs. But, there's a lot of autism everywhere. And I felt like I had this power and this skill but I didn't know how to find the people. And it was by a bilingual center. And this amazing woman named Rose just put me in touch with the people. And I started doing free workshops every twice a month. And we call them parent empowerment workshops. And a lot of people in Thailand can't afford CARD services. So it was a way to kind of promote CARD, but also give access and train. I think that's how I honed my training skills, is doing that. So we ended up doing professional empowerment and parent empowerment. And through that, I met 2 of the most amazing people in the world. But it was a family who was our client. And, they had tried everything for their kid. And when they started ABA, things just started to click. And now he's in a typical school. He's doing great. We're Facebook friends and he chats me all this cool stuff. But they said, we love this. We keep having therapist turnover. How can we get more stable staff for our son, but also help other families? Because a lot of them, can't hustle like we can. And I was like, well, we do have this model where So we spent the next 4 years kind of overlapping and training, and the quality there was fantastic. And actually, most of those therapists that we trained back in the day are still there, and they're still really active, which is really good because they're training like the next generation and the next generation. So I think a lot of that goodness and the CARD values and our curriculum is still going strong there, which is exciting. So,
well,
like,
and I just have to
a
say,
lot of wonderful people to make all this happen over the years.
well, that's amazing. And I just have to say that, over the years, both when my son was being treated at CARD and then all these years later, as I've gotten to know so many Cardians, and everybody talks about who's great and what they're great at. And I got to say, I said earlier, you're a legend and you really are. I don't know if you know that people refer to you as the Niehoff. That is how they're like, oh, you know what you need? You need the Niehoff. Like when people call you like, that really says something. And I always listen to that and I know, but I've been around you and you just have this infectious personality. You're just passionate the way you live and the way you talk and the way you breathe is passionate. But then this little thing called a global pandemic rolled around. And I watched in a very brief period of time, like I'm talking a week and a half, people that I know and love and respect sat down and changed the model of everything in like a blip of time, which I would have told you I think they would have told you was impossible. And you guys started to put out this model of telehealth that was absolutely brilliant, that saved a lot of people's lives, and people were being trained to do this. And I want to thank everybody at CARD. I've never been prouder to be called a Cardian as I was during that period of time when I watched you guys be at your highest level to get something done because the world needed it. And I just, in the months afterwards, though, as I saw a lot of the pieces, your name was very firmly written on a lot of those pieces, Sarah Niehoff. You've earned the Niehoff. And when I look at the, and I hear from caregivers about what it was like to have those therapists on the computer and interacting with their child, which, look, not ideal, right? I think you guys would rather be there face to face, but when that wasn't a possibility, you made it possible and they made it interesting for those kids. And I'm just in awe. So thank you on behalf of everybody for everything that you've done. And I know that the families who got telehealth during all of this would strangle me if I didn't say from the bottom of their hearts, my heart, how much it meant to them. Thank you.
Yeah, and I want to thank you, Sarah, for a lot of different reasons. I want to thank you for myself. It's been, and hopefully it will continue to be, but it's been a really, really joyful 20 plus years that I've known you and worked side by side with you. And I've enjoyed watching you, learning from you, and seeing the incredible work that you do. I want to thank you on behalf of all the families that you've helped, both here and in abroad, in lots of different countries, especially Thailand, because I think that whole thing that you started continues, and it continues to affect a lot of families, which is incredible. And I want to thank you for the amazing training that you provided and continue to provide today to all Cardians. And I think that is just absolutely incredible. And I got to tell you, it's funny because of course I had seen you train our staff in various therapist liaison retreats and such, but recently I was talking to Evelyn, our clinical director, Shannon, and she was saying, I just got off a training that Niehoff was doing. Have you seen how good she is at training? And I was like, yes, I have. I know. That's why I want her to come here to LA and train more people for us. That's what we're talking about. So I want to thank you for all of that. You really have a big reach, Sarah. I hope you know that you've made a huge difference in a lot of lives. And, I love you very much. I'm so, so, so thankful that you are still at CARD and working with me. And I just want to send you lots and lots of love and hope to see you again very soon.
Right back at you. And thank you for all the opportunities. I have a lot of passion for training people, and what a better place to be where I can focus all my energy. So thank you for all of that.
Thank you. Mwah. Have a wonderful day. Thanks so much.
And thank you so much for being with us and all that you do. Honestly, thank you. Mwah.
Too kind, ladies.
Bye-bye.
See you soon.
So,
Wow,
so amazing. It makes me emotional because we had, for those of you who don't know, we have a caregiver sort of a webinar that we do that we started doing more of them during the pandemic. And what we did was we had her come and train the parents, and it was amazing. It was absolutely amazing. So I had told you that we were having a certain guest, and I'm surprised we have a different guest, but I'm really thrilled. And I wanted to make sure that Traven got her last name, the spelling right, but we have Carolyn Breddick waiting in the wings, and we didn't think we had her today. And that's very exciting because I know that this is somebody, again, it's like two legends that we've got so far on the show today. So talk a little bit about Carolyn Breddick.
Oh, that's awesome. Very easy for me to talk about Carolyn Breddick. This, Shannon, when we started doing these shows, I didn't realize it would be this kind of touching and emotional for me. It is. I'm just honestly really, really grateful to have such incredible people in my life. Even though I don't get to see them that often, just knowing them and having known them for so long is tremendous for me. Carolyn, I have a million things to say about Carolyn. I'll start with the very earliest memories I have of Carolyn, and you will love, is that she used to work actually in our LA office in the first kind of official card site, which was in Encino. And she would, when I had my son, Sonny, who you know very well, he was a baby, and I used to bring him to work as in his first year of life, and he would literally sit on Carolyn's shoulder while she typed with one hand and just held on to Sonny like that all day. And so that's like one memory I have. But of course, Carolyn was, also grew up at CARD, was a therapist, became a supervisor, later moved to San Jose, ran the San Jose office and grew the San Jose office and did a tremendous job up there. That was for several years. And then after that, I believe, if I'm kind of getting the history correct, went down to Orange County, and I very well remember her beautiful wedding very well. And she then worked at the, I think she was at the Irvine office for a while, and then later went down to the San Juan Capistrano office. And of course, she is an incredible senior clinician. She's one of our most amazing senior clinicians. I will say she also made, you remember yesterday we were talking to Lisa Bancroft, who was telling us about kind of the early days. And I want to say that Carolyn made a very, very significant contribution to CARD, which lives on today. And that contribution was that in the early years, she taught all of us that a lot of our kids are just not verbally receiving information. They're not hearing what we're telling them, and that we need to develop visual programming for them. And so she was the big contributor of all of our visual programming. I can go on for an hour talking about.
Let's get her in here.
Let's get her in here.
Let's get her in here. Welcome, Carolyn.
Hello. We're nappy.
Yeah, look at this.
Isn't it amazing, Shannon?
I just did not get the memo. Everybody's matching. And, what's also amazing, and I'm sure the other people at home are like, what is up with this? You all look like you're 24. And to find out that you've been working in this field for more than 20 years, it's like, what up with that? Like, did you all pass around the same skincare or what? Or is it just the kids keep you guys young? It's just amazing how young you all look. But anyway, Carolyn, welcome. Is this your first time being on Autism Live? If it is, it's shame on me.
Well, it is because I hate the camera.
Well, but it's still shame on me that I didn't coerce you sooner. Because again, a legend, a card and a legend in this field. Should we have her tell her origin story, Dr.
Yeah,
Granpeesheh?
yeah, please tell us, how did you come to CARD?
Okay, and can I say really quickly, I just wanted to give a shout out to Sarah, because Sarah was the supervisor on one of my very dear friends for her child, and he is now in college and going to become a firefighter.
Oh, I love that. That's wonderful.
Yeah, so I am very grateful to her because she really changed the life of my friend and her whole family, and this guy's just doing amazing. So thank you to Sarah.
Yeah,
Say
that's
that.
so nice.
Yeah, it's awesome. So my story is a little bit different also, because even though I came in at kind of that early years where everybody was coming from UCLA, I did not attend UCLA. I went to LMU. And I was walking, I remember very clearly walking down the hallway of the psychology department, and I saw a picture of the sweetest little 3-year-old boy that I've ever seen in my life. And it said, do you want to come basically help my son be a therapist in this program? I didn't know what it was, but I thought he was absolutely adorable. So I contacted the mom, and she was actually under a workshop model through Lovos. And I cannot remember the name of her supervisor, but basically just said, this is what we do, and we'll train you and we'll oversee you. And so I did, and then that was it. I was hooked. And the family actually told me about Doreen and said, if you want to keep doing this, there's someone, and you had just recently, I think, branched off from Lovos at that point. There's somebody who's opened her own clinic. Her name is Doreen, and you should go check it out. And so I did, and then that was basically it.
That's amazing. What year was that, Carolyn?
94, 93.
Yeah, that's incredible. That is incredible.
Yeah.
And you've stayed all this time, which is amazing. And I correct me if I'm wrong, because part of the visual, were you also the one, because my memory is faulty, there's a whole section of skills that's phonemic awareness. Is that thanks to you as well?
I did do some of that. Yes.
Well, I think it's part of my favorite part of skills, can I just say? But when I first started working at CARD, I needed to learn everything about skills. And I remember they would always say, oh, I'd have a question, they'd say, well, ask Carolyn. Ask Carolyn about that. Carolyn's the one that will know about that. And you were a wealth of knowledge. So absolutely amazing. And thank you. Thank you for all your work on that. But I know, Dr. Granpeesheh, that you had some more that you wanted to say.
Yeah, I'll just keep going for a little bit here. So Carolyn actually did write a pretty significant many different sections of skills, which, as you know, Shannon, of course, continues to help people all over the world. But the other incredible thing that I wanted to bring up is that, when I talk about people like Carolyn or Sarah or Lisa yesterday, the thing about these guys is that being able to have them on a child's case is such a gift. It's such a gift. Carolyn is the person who's responsible for our dear friend Ilana's third child recovering. And she did that at a distance, right? I mean, which I think is also an incredible task. She met the family, I think, when he was just a little guy below 2, I believe, if I'm not wrong. And she worked with them continuously and just completely taught the staff what to do, programmed him, and brought him out. And Ilana will tell you that she saved his life. I mean, and that's just as simple as that. And Carolyn, I want you to just, I get emotional when I talk about you, because we have known each other for so long, and truthfully, your heart is so gold that it's just unbelievable. I want you to know and feel and remember that you have changed the lives of hundreds of kids, and you've trained hundreds more people who are also out there changing lives, and what you do and how you contribute, and everything that you've been flexible with over the years. I just want to thank you, because I'm so grateful that you have stayed at CARD, because I would be very jealous if you were anywhere else. And the truth is, and I'm just like, I'm so proud of you for everything you do. I mean, we all have kind of, Shannon, over the years had our own kids. Our kids have grown. Carolyn's kids are in college, all that. You know, but it's amazing that throughout that journey and our own personal stuff, you have just continued to be so incredible and help so many families. So bless you for that. And I know that God will take care of you, because you've taken care of so many.
Aw, thank you.
Honestly.
Carolyn, I want to know, do you get confused for being your kid's sibling? Do they think that you're their sister?
I
Look
think
at
it
her.
must be really good lighting or something. No.
Send me the name of the light you have. I'm going to buy 3 of them. Because you look like you're 20-something. Stop. You have kids in college? Like, you're killing me here. But maybe that's thanks to the fact that you've given so much of your time and your energy to so many young people. Maybe that's the universe's way of saying thank you, that you look so great. It's what, good for you. And thank you on behalf of all of the families. We haven't really, we talk about a little bit about what people are doing right now, but all of the people that we're featuring are still working in the field and have, that are working to help families, in some cases directly and some cases indirectly, but you're still working in the field, Carolyn, and you're still making a difference every day in families' lives 20 years later. How many years at CARD?
What is it? 27, 26, 27?
Yeah,
that's
crazy.
crazy.
I think Carolyn joined right around the same time as Vince, I would say. So they're about 27 years each. Yeah, which is amazing. Do you know Carolyn used to be roommates with Kathy Visconti? Carolyn, we can't get Kathy to come on the show because she's so camera shy.
You have a choice? She has a choice.
No, there's no choice. There's no choice.
No choice.
There's no choice.
No.
Don't let that rumor out. There's no choice. Well, unfortunately, we're out of time. But Carolyn, thank you. Thank you on behalf of all the families. Just heartfelt thank you. I don't know if you realize through all of your work and the work that you did in skills, how many lives you touch every day. It's so many that it couldn't possibly be counted. It's amazing.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, I appreciate it. I enjoy it. I do. I love all of them.
We love you.
Everybody.
We love you, and keep doing what you do, because you're wonderful.
Thank you. Thank you, guys.
All right. Thank you. Goodbye.
Goodbye.
And right now, what we want to do is go to 2 interviews that we previously recorded so that you can see more of these amazing people working in this field alongside Dr. Doreen Granpeesheh for more than 20 years. So take a look at this. Welcome back, everyone. We're so excited with the 2 guests that we have right now, because they're 2 of my favorite people on the planet. And I know that you love them too, Dr. Granpeesheh, and I'm just going to get all happy knowing that they're here. Our first guest right now is a remarkable woman who has been so helpful to so many people, me included, and just a wealth of knowledge. Man, she is just as sharp as a tack, and such a good teacher and just a good person. I'm talking about Jennifer Yakos. And Dr. Granpeesheh, I know you have known her much longer than I am. She's a blessing in everybody's life. Talk about her a little bit.
She is an amazing person, Shannon. Thank you for acknowledging that as well. She is, so a lot of, in our field, Shannon, of course, Jen Yakos is, everybody knows her because she is the face of all of the training that we do at CARD and at IBT. So if any of our viewers have watched IBT trainings or Institute for Behavioral Training videos, it is 90% Jen. and she's fantastic. She's just fantastic at these trainings, and it's amazing to me because she's just so good without material to read, and she's just so fluent, and the training is so effective. And so, like, at these conferences, I think she must be like a superstar because everybody recognizes her face. So through that, she Jen, and I of course love Jen very much. We have a really long history, and I look forward to hearing from her how she started. If I remember correctly, Jen has always been in the San Diego office, but I don't. It's such a long time ago. We're talking 90s, that I might be wrong, and I'll let Jen correct me. But the amazing thing is that, honestly, Shannon, no matter what else was going on, whether it was her personal life or card changes or whatever, Jen has always been an incredibly solid contributor to card and to the entire field. And I would say she's one of those people where her reach is far, far beyond card, obviously, because the training that she provides to the world of ABA is incredible, and it's tremendous. And I'm so, so proud to have her on the card team, and to have known her and worked with her for so many years. Let's bring her.
Let's get her in here so everybody can. There she
There
is.
Hi.
And I see you have your training headsets on.
Yes, I feel like an air traffic controller.
But I gotta say, the message that you share is always so important. And I remember the first time that I got to meet you, I had to film with a whole bunch of people, a whole bunch of little segments that were going to be interstitial throughout what was then Skills Live, and everyone said, "Oh, wait till you meet her." Because with other people, they weren't necessarily people who knew how to be on a camera or whatever. Maybe it was their first time, and we had to do multiple takes. And you were like one of those, things, an Energizer bunny that you could just set, and I could walk away and come back, and you would have 4 hours filmed that was brilliant, first take. And I just remember going, "Oh, what they all said about her is so true. You're incredible. You're absolutely incredible." And I still learn from you so much every day. So I'm so glad that you're here. But I want to know your card origin story. How did you come to be a card?
I was a student at UC Irvine, actually, back in the early to mid 90s. It's a long time ago. And I was just finishing up, and I first watched the Lovaas documentary film in one of my classes. And my professor was actually one of the students that Dr. Doreen, that you worked with at UCLA. And so I saw the video, and I was just blown away. I couldn't, it was my first glimpse at, really ABA and its application to individuals with autism, and just how powerful a tool it can be to change lives. And so one of the professors at UC Irvine had 3 children that were all on the spectrum, and they were looking for psychology students to train and administer ABA therapy. So I had just graduated, but I didn't want to pass up the opportunity. So I started working with that family, and I was trained by Kathy Thompson, one of the most amazing clinicians and people that I've known. And so I worked actually in Irvine for about 3 months, and then I moved down to San Diego just as the San Diego office was starting to open and take patients. So that was back in 1995. And and then I've been with CARD ever since. So
somewhere here I have a picture of you guys from the 90s. I was like looking to see if it's on my
please don't
bookshelf.
Please don't mind it. There's nothing good in that picture, I can tell you.
So Jen, it's funny because yesterday, over the last few days, we've been talking actually about that family, and because Mom, of course, was a very well-known lawyer. We're talking about Maureen Graves here, Shannon. So, and it's amazing that that program that they set up at UC Irvine influenced so many of our seniors.
Mhm.
And because we're just, Renat went through that program, I believe, and I think Lisa Bancroft, I'm not sure, but it was
Did.
what an
Yeah.
amazing thing that we have so many, like, honestly, decades of you guys, like feeding the world, and you kind of all originated from that program. What an amazing thing.
It
Uh,
really was
I
meant
love
to
it.
be. And I knew within the first day of being trained and getting my feet wet that that was what I wanted to do for my career. So
That's
it was definitely
incredible.
meant to be. Yeah.
That is incredible.
And you've had so many different things that you done at Card, that ways that you've contributed. We talk a lot on Autism Live about the IBT videos, and you've been such an amazing part of that. We want her to tell a little bit about what capacity she's working in now, Dr. Grampy
Yeah,
Shea.
absolutely. And you guys reminded me, Shannon, when you said, all the video, the taping and stuff. And I remembered those days where Jen and Cecilia, our next guest, would come up to headquarters and spend hours and hours videotaping. And it's just incredible because Jen has also, yes, been involved with some of the card research as well, and she's presented at conferences. And of course, now for the past many years, I don't know how many exactly years, Jen has been in the training department or area and providing content.
Hmm.
The vast majority of our content, both internally at CARD and, as I said, IBT. Talk about that actually, because Jen was one of the leaders of IBT, and kind of we all, Jen was part of the whole process of producing training at CARD, and then that training department took off and became the Institute for Behavior Training. Talk about that for a little bit. How long ago was that?
It's hard to remember. Cecilia probably knows the specific dates, but I think it was sometime around maybe 2013, 2014. I'm
Wow.
not quite sure. She'll know. Yeah, she's just said
Yeah.
yes. Anyway, so Cecilia and she was the director of Card's training department, and we were trying to kind of provide service for external families and practitioners as well. So we developed all of our e-learning trainings as well as webinars and things, sort of as part of an attempt to provide training to external professionals. So we sort of took all of the expertise and knowledge that we had gained and developed at Card and took that and developed these external trainings through IBT, the Institute for Behavioral Training. And so we developed our video library, but we also developed we did a lot of webinars and presenting at conferences and continuing education units. And then we also developed library of parent trainings and teacher trainings,
Teaching, yeah.
education trainings, yeah, first responder trainings, things like that. So we kind of just we did a lot, and I have to give credit to Cecilia, my dear friend, my partner in crime. We just sort of, I think we see things very, we're very eye to eye on a lot of things and our approaches and our motivations to try to make a positive impact in the field and with these wonderful, inspiring families, to try to get resources to them, make them more accessible, make them more meaningful, just do
Yeah.
what we can. And so um, we're now back sort of working primarily for Card's internal development and training. So now I'm again working with Cecilia, who, I'm just so happy about that. And I'm the one of the content developers. So we develop a variety of things. So with training content, parent training, caregiver, sort of resources and support, support for different types of internal and external trainings and
Right.
development of curriculum. And yeah, so it's sort of, we wear many hats, but we love it because it allows our creativity and our passion to sort of lead the way, which is really nice.
That is wonderful. That is really wonderful because I know that both of you guys were also very passionate about just direct contact with the families, and you've always enjoyed that. And I know you don't get a lot of that right now.
Hmm.
But you know, I want you to know that the work that you are doing is very, very far-reaching, Jen. I mean, we are Shannon and I do shows, and we have a lot of international people. We have people from all over the world on our shows, and I can tell you that they are benefiting from the work that you do in, I mean, you know, Bangladesh today we had, and India, and honestly all over the world.
That's
And
great.
so what you guys have done and what you work on, it's not easy. I know hours and hours of writing and then making it into, I mean, I'm doing, honestly, I'll be honest with you, I'm working on 2 different PowerPoints right now for large corporations that need to learn about autism. And it's just like taking me so long just to produce 2 PowerPoints. And I'm thinking you guys have produced hundreds of these, and they are so, so powerful. And I just want to thank you for that on behalf of not just the families out there who have benefited, but the hundreds and hundreds of individuals who somehow have been working in this field, whether they're paraprofessionals or professionals. You've trained lots of people, you've answered lots of questions for people over the years, and that's life saving. And you know, and me personally, just such a joy to as Shannon, I'm very, very lucky. One of the things that I still get to do to this day is I spend a little bit more time with Cecilia, Jen, because they're like, I see a little bit of their work. We're on a couple of little projects where we're all involved, and I get to see them. And I'm so thankful for that because I love you guys. I love you very much, Jen. Thank you so much for having been a part of my life for so long. And I know that the journey still has a long way to go.
Thank you so much. It's been such a privilege to have this opportunity. There's so much that we can continue to do, as you said.
Yeah.
I appreciate the opportunity to continually do better and to be better and to help reach families, especially through this difficult time. It's been such a privilege and such a responsibility, to know that we're helping people through a pandemic, through ridiculous times and stressors on top of the daily stressors that they have. And so we don't take that lightly. We take our job very seriously and appreciate the privilege to make a difference and to constantly help families and do what we can to help them maximize their happiness and their joy and what they can achieve. So
And you do, and it is so appreciated, Jen. Thank you so much for
yeah,
all that you do. Thank you
thank you
so much.
both.
All
Thank
right,
you.
you
So
take
I'm
care.
going to bring on your buddy here, hopefully.
Yeah,
Yes.
yes. So we'll say
Yes.
goodbye for now,
All right.
but thank you so much.
Bye. Thank you guys
Thank
both.
Thank
you.
you.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
And she referenced many times our next guest, who I'm going to get all verklempt because she's amazing and she's been an amazing part of my life over the last couple of years. But of course, we're talking about Cecilia Knight, who she kept referring to her as her partner in crime. And together, those two women are like the dynamic duo, right? But each in their own right is incredible. And Cecilia is just... I just don't even have words. And if you get me to the point where it's like I can't find words, that's something pretty amazing. But I've had the pleasure of doing a little bit of touring with Cecilia Knight and going out into offices and meeting families one-to-one and getting to see, what she's like then and also in the planning phase. The woman's a powerhouse.
Yes.
She's incredible. So, but I'll please take your turn, Dr. Grampiche. Talk about Cecilia Knight.
Wow. Okay. Well, yes, she is a powerhouse. I mean, I have to say, like we have so many amazing, strong clinicians that you and I are talking to for these shows. But I have to say that you ask me, some of them I just personally miss so much. And even though we have some Zoom contact, I really cannot wait for the day that I get to give Cecilia a hug, because I personally miss her so much. If I want to go all the way back, Cecilia, Cecilia's been with CARD for a really, really long time, and we will let her give us details. But I know that she started in our Greensboro, North Carolina office. And we were, I think that was like, I don't know, maybe my third or fourth office. It was a very, very early stage of CARD. And we had a wonderful office there. And the supervisor there brought on board 2 individuals who trained and became therapists and were fantastic. And that was Cecilia, and the other person was Cecilia's husband, Mark. And I don't think, Cecilia will tell us, I think they had maybe just gotten married or were not yet even married. But they then started to gradually take over that location and run it. And they did so many other things. We had newsletters coming out of that site, so many other things. And then they actually moved to California for a while. So we got the opportunity to work together. Cecilia worked with me directly at headquarters, as well as, if I'm not wrong, she set up some of our programs for families in Hawaii. And in the meantime, her husband, Mark, was traveling to other spots, Europe, if I'm not wrong, and maybe even Canada. And we had a lot of, they were doing outreach as well as providing training. And then they were in LA for a while, and then they went back. And of course, Cecilia is now in South Carolina and has been running IBT and our internal training department at CARD for many, many years. And she wears many, many hats. And I'm so happy that, despite all the ups and downs of the field and changes, both internal to CARD and external to CARD, and Cecilia has been flexible and has just remained an amazing force at CARD and in the world of ABA. So let's bring her on. I'm so excited.
Let's get her in here. We love her so much. There she is.
Oh, there she is.
Ms. Knight, so thrilled to have you here. You know that I adore you. And I adore your whole family.
Yeah. Lots of
you
love.
guys are so sweet. You were like making me feel upset before I even came on. Y'all are so wonderful.
Don't be upset.
In a good way. In a good way.
In a good way. But we've been asking everybody their CARD origin story. So tell your side of it. How did you get roped into this?
I feel like I got roped into ABA first, and then CARD was just the next progression. But the funny story is that my boyfriend, then husband now, took me to meet this little guy with autism that he was working with. And I feel sure he was just trying to show off what a great guy he was. And he wanted me to sort of see that. But anyway, forget the boyfriend. I thought the kid with autism was amazing. And his mom was amazing, because that was many moons ago, 1996, when autism was virtually unknown, and the family was flying someone in from California to work with their 2.5-year-old son. And I was just fascinated by how smart I could tell the little guy was, and how much he was interested in learning, but he had these barriers that you could clearly see, because he wanted to talk and he was really frustrated. But anyway, so that's how I came to know about ABA and autism, and just was inspired by this great little 2.5-year-old and his mom. And then eventually they brought CARD to their home to do training and to oversee their program. And at that point I was hooked, and I started meeting with the CARD supervisor once a month when she would visit the family's home in South Carolina. And then I just changed everything about my life to become a psychology major, and CARD allowed Mark and I to do an internship with them when we were seniors in college. And then all of our friends got these jobs in banking and industry, and we moved to Greensboro, North Carolina, 2 days after we graduated college to become senior therapists in the Greensboro, North Carolina office, and that was 1998.
Wow.
And you know, our friends thought we were nuts, and most of them didn't know what autism was at all, and we were just so thrilled to join this worldwide organization. Even at that point, we didn't know what we had gotten ourselves into, but anyway, we were thrilled to be there, and that's where it all began.
Yeah. Yeah. It's
And
amazing.
you've held every position there is at CARD, I'm pretty sure, right?
Yes,
Like,
I feel like I might have.
did you start, am I right? Did you start the therapist liaison role? Is that true?
I
Were you the
did.
first ever?
I did. So in North Carolina, I was a senior therapist, and eventually, Doreen, you're right, Mark and I came to be trained as workshop supervisors before we got married, and then got married after that. And so eventually, Shannon, our path took us from North Carolina when some funding changed to California. And Mark and I were both supervisors in California. And then our son was born in 2003. And I did not want to stop working, but I couldn't quite handle the supervisor schedule with a really young baby and no mom or grandma there to help me in California. So we created that therapist liaison position to the person who would interview and train the therapists. And somehow that stuck and became a thing. So it was pretty exciting at the time, but definitely that was a neat thing about CARD then and now, which was Doreen encouraged us to grow our own families, but not leave her family of working at CARD. So we found a way to make it work.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing. You guys, I mean, I remember there was a time when Jackson was still very little and you guys were traveling a lot and doing all kinds of different activities. And, you know, it's been an interesting experience, Cecilia, because we've had a lot of the seniors on this show, and we've been talking about those early years and how it was so much, there was so much development. I feel like it's a little bit, it's different now in the sense that we're all very focused on trying to get through barriers of funding and figuring out how to write policies and train and disseminate. And that's awesome as well, but in a different, it's a very different thing. In the beginning, like we were talking to Lisa Bancroft the other day, and it was all about like how we were writing programs and how we were developing all these just ideas. And that was a different phase. And you're so right. So many of the folks that we're interviewing, we all had kids along the same path and kind of the same, you know, actually I'll say to both of you guys, I saw Nilu last night and she said to say hello. So, you know, those old folks, and it's been an incredible journey. And I know that you are still working very, very hard. Tell us a little bit about the stuff that you're doing now.
Okay. I have to say that just to tip my hat to you and to CARD that, you know, being able to do all those things and have a family just really reinforced the dream / a little bit of the deception that women can have it all, because I was able to just really and still am able to try my best to do the thing I love every day at work, and then balance going home and enjoying my 3 kids as much as I enjoy working. So I just appreciate that we all were able to do some of that, because it really, you know, has been quite a blessing in my life. So I appreciate you encouraging that as well. But I now, as Jen mentioned, she and I are really working on clinical development. So we're pretty excited about the fact that we are a little bit back to where we were before, where we get to look at some of the problems that maybe are occurring or some of the things that we'd like to improve upon, and then develop solutions. And that right now, one of the things we're focusing on is caregiver collaboration and making sure that our staff really are engaged in compassionate care, and working to see every patient, every mom, every dad, every grandmother as an important part of the treatment team, and to honor their input. So we're really developing programming around compassionate care and values-based instruction, meaning if mom is very interested in the fact that she wants her son to be independent, then the goals that we develop for mom are really focused around what's valuable to mom and dad or whoever is the caregiver. And then ensuring that the supervisors at CARD are really embracing all of those ideas too. So making sure that not only the patient gets the best treatment, but that we are really encompassing all those same great principles with the caregivers, because we know that the happy, healthy caregiver really is the vehicle to get the child where they need to be. So we're doing a lot of work with the child, but we need to make sure that mom, dad, grandmother, whoever it is really engaged in treatment as well. So that's a lot of what we're focused on right now, is the development of all the things needed to teach the supervisors to do those really cool things.
I love it. I love it. And I want you to know I see a big difference. I mean, and Shannon, you're part of that as well. And just the attention and care and support that you guys have been giving to our caregivers, to our parents, has made a very big difference, I think. And I can't wait for it to increase, because I know the content that you're developing is invaluable. And if we can get that out there, it's going to be so significant in the care of all of our kids. So thank you.
And I just want to say that, you know, I had the great privilege for much of the last 2 years to work very closely with Cecilia. And I remember being afraid in the beginning, first of all, because she's just smarter than I am. And that's always a problem, right? But also, you know, because we live on opposite coasts, you know, and so it was like, how is this really going to work? But it was just such a great privilege. It's one of my most favorite times, eras working at CARD, because I got to work with Cecilia, and there is no one, and I've seen all these different people both at CARD and outside of that, there is no one who teaches the empathy piece more effectively than Cecilia Knight. I have watched her get up in front of a room full of people who work in the billing department, and in a very short period of time, in under 4 minutes, get them to understand that the person who is on the other line, when they're calling and saying there's a problem with their bill, that that's just the tip of the iceberg, and that they need to listen and be compassionate. No one teaches it better than Cecilia Knight. She's a true gift for our community, and for caregivers who are out there and who are like thinking, you know, people don't care. I offer you up Cecilia Knight. Oh. Man, she cares top to bottom, and she teaches everyone else the pieces that they need to have implanted so that they understand why they should care also. When things get better, I'm telling you, it all leads back to Cecilia, because she's been tireless in working on that. And that has been so heart healing for me, Cecilia, because I can't go back and re-legislate things that happened in the early years of when my son was first diagnosed, but knowing that you're at the helm and making it better. See, I'm going to get emotional. It always makes me feel better knowing that you're doing that for so many other families. On behalf of all of us, thank you.
Absolutely. Well said, Shannon. Yeah, thank you, Cecilia. Your work has been incredible and so life-changing for so many people, both at parents and staff at CARD and in the world, because I know you have written, even beyond that, April is coming up, and I was looking, and we have all these amazing first responder trainings, and you and Jen are responsible for all of that. And that makes an enormous difference in the world. And so thank you for all of that. Thank you for all the contributions over the years. No matter what you do, you can always look back and say you've done a lot to change the world and make it a better place. You truly have. And last but not least, I always used to say that I loved calling because Cecilia would pick up with her beautiful Southern accent, and for me, she's the only true Southern belle I know as well. I love that about you as well. And I love you very much, miss you very much, and I hope that this year will allow us to get together again.
For sure. And I'm so glad. I'll tell my mom that you said I was a true Southern belle. I think she questions that. My time in California about ruined me on her for her. So I'll make sure that she knows you think that. But I love you guys both very much and have been challenged by both of you in really powerful and different ways. But I just appreciate it's nice to have, your people, and you guys are my people, just because when you're passionate about something and want to work hard to achieve really greater things for more people, then it's just exciting when you meet other people who are as nerdy and passionate about it as you. So thank you guys so much for saying all those great things, and I appreciate and think the same things about you women as well. So thank you again.
Thank you so much. And say hi to Mark for us too.
I will be sure to do that. Okay.
Another amazing person fighting a good fight every day. And your beautiful kids. Cecilia is a wonderful mom in addition to everything else with great kids. All right. Thank you, Cecilia. Thank you so much for being with us. And Dr. Grampy, thank you. I think we went a little bit over, but we sort of had to. And I just want to say that this party continues. There are more episodes of this. I know it just seems like, wow, we've covered a lot of really amazing people, and yet there are more of them. And Dr. Grampy, thank you for bringing all these people into my life and to all of these people's lives, because the benefit is just, it's off the chart. It's immeasurable. That's what it is. So thank you all for being here. We'll be back with more Autism Live. Until then, give your kiddos a hug for me and one for you too. Bye-bye for now. Thanks for watching Autism Live. If you found anything helpful in this video, please give us a like. In fact, make sure that you smash that subscribe button on YouTube and give us a like on Facebook. You can also follow us on Twitter and on Instagram for important updates. And please download our free podcast wherever you get your podcasts. Thank you so much. See you next time.